You are significant. You have seeds of greatness inside of you. You are not on accident. You are on purpose. You are here for a very divine, special purpose. And we are going to talk in this podcast about evidence that you are significant. It's morning here as I record this episode of Love Yourself, Forgive Yourself. And I am just quietly enjoying the beautiful sunshine and so thankful that spring is in the air as we're coming to the end of February. And it seems that the groundhog was right. There's going to be an early spring. And so I'm wondering how you are feeling as from where you are. Are you feeling the light of the sunshine of early spring, or maybe you are still struggling with the darkness that comes from within, from being hopeless, or from being in a situation where you just don't see a way out? And one thing that has helped me so much is learning to forgive myself. And there is freedom that comes in forgiving myself. So, as some of you know, I am in recovery for emotional eating. If you haven't listened to episodes 1 and 2, where I share my story of suddenly finding myself married to someone who has an addiction, and we really didn't realize what we were dealing with wasn't just marriage struggles, that it actually was addiction and codependency. And once we started addressing life from that perspective and learning and admitting to ourselves that was the situation, then we started making progress. And then we started to have hope again. Then we started to have victory. Then we started to have joy and, and passion, and freedom. And I'm really so grateful to have discovered that. And I know it sounds ironic, right? I mean, the initial response would be, oh, woe is me, woe is us. This is where we find ourselves. We find, ourselves in a situation where there's addiction, there's co-addiction, addiction to porn, addiction to even some relationships that weren't healthy in the past. And then on my side, there's addiction to codependency, not just in my marriage, but even in friendships with unhealthy people, making unhealthy demands, me not setting boundaries. And even with my children, finding some codependency growing as they became teenagers, and fear can set in of the present and the future. And so coming to understand codependency for myself has been so empowering to begin to really work on freedom. And so I celebrate recovery from emotional eating and workaholic tendencies, in that my identity is not in my work and if I meet a goal. And in some ways, that has been an interesting journey in the last year of allowing myself to even not maybe set a goal, or to maybe not reach the goal. Of course, if we don't set a goal, we're not going to reach a goal, but just exploring how I feel, being me, and just living in the present, living and relishing and enjoying the present. and then beginning to set goals again, reach goals again. I am so excited I was able to go on the cruise to Labadee in November with my supplement company, and then just got back from Punta Cana and had an absolutely fabulous time. It really is like a little piece of paradise. We know the Garden of Eden was taken up, but if there was going to be a paradise on earth, Punta Cana is definitely in that class. The weather was just ideal. It was in like the 70s most of the time, like around the low to mid 70s, a breeze blowing all the time, so you were never like sweating, and just beautiful like music playing that was like tropical, at the resort where we were, and getting to lounge in the lounger by the Caribbean Sea, which is turquoise and so clean and crystal clear. And it was just like so amazing to be able to go there and really enjoy it because of the work that I have done to recover from these things of the past, to recover from emotional eating, recover from workaholic tendencies, to start to neurologically actually program into myself peace. And I'm so thankful for the Inner Matrix Systems program that I'm in with Ben Delaney, where we're learning how to program in new pathways, new emotions that are healthy. And to me, this is the next step of recovering, of my recovery journey, is not just forgiving the past, which we are going to delve into that for just a few minutes, but also taking the next step to program in what do I want to be there. And for me, I couldn't start with joy because I needed to feel safe. And for me, safety and peace go hand in hand. And so I think as I'm programming into my nervous system peace and safety by focusing on it every day for at least 20 minutes, my goal is to do at least one 20-minute practice of just sitting quietly and thinking about when I feel peace. And so now I have a new moment where I felt so peaceful just sitting in that beach lounger by the Caribbean Sea, the breeze blowing, just relaxed, the sunshine on my face, which I have some sunburn, but just feeling the beauty all around, within and without. And so I can go back to a moment of peace like that. I was already going back to a moment just like that when we were in Fort Lauderdale, when we came off the cruise and we stayed a couple more days, and we were still on that beautiful sea and still on the ocean right there. And it's gorgeous. There in Fort Lauderdale as well. The water is still turquoise. It's still really clear and really clean. I would say the ocean water, at least the days I was there, was a little bit more strong, but it was still so fun to get in the ocean and like swim and just have that salt water, which is so healing, right? And I just felt like I was healing from the inside out, being in the ocean water like that. And so I can go back to that moment of peace anytime that I want to. And I can call in peace by breathing that 4-sided breath, where I breathe in for 4, hold it for a couple of seconds, breathe out for 4, breathe out your nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and keep that exhale for a couple of seconds, and then just repeat that. And you can hear the ocean waves. Maybe for you, it's the mountaintop where you are at the top of the mountain. Maybe you're in Gatlinburg. Maybe you're at Mount Zion. Maybe you're at another mountain that you love, and you can just hear the quiet. It's that quiet. Maybe you hear a bird. Maybe you feel the wind also blowing from there, and you just feel so free. You feel empowered on that mountaintop. And so some of us, though, come to this episode today and we haven't forgiven. And that forgiveness is like an inner prison that we wake up to. And as soon as we become conscious, we're angry. We're angry about the person who hurt us. We're angry that we don't have the apology that we've wanted day after day, night after night. We don't have that peace. We don't have the joy. We don't have the elation, the passion, the freedom. And so we're living in fear-based emotion. There's only two choices, either living in love-based emotion or fear-based emotion. And so if you're waking up and you are remembering and you are replaying what happened and constantly gathering new material of the next offense. And what I find when I was living in that state and didn't even realize it, I mean, there's no blame or shame here. Oftentimes we find ourselves in a state that until someone comes along and offers us something different, we didn't know. We didn't have awareness that, oh my goodness, I'm waking up every day and I'm angry. I am actually looking for the next moment to vent this anger. It is boiling either at a low level or sometimes a high level, depending on what happened yesterday or this week inside of me. And so as a codependent, really just trying to survive and be safe, and being in the state that my job is to make my addict happy. My job is to wake up and figure out what mood are they in, what do they want today, and how am I going to survive today? I need food. I need money to get things done. And it's not a pretty state to be in. And so what I want to share with you is that no matter why you're angry, no matter who you feel is responsible, whether it is your spouse or maybe you're a 60-year-old person and it's your parents, and maybe they've even passed and they can't tell you they're sorry. And you never got that apology that you so desperately need. Maybe you were molested or raped and the person, you don't even know where that person is, or you do, and you're living in fear and you want that apology and it's never come yet. It's never come. And you don't know how to get free. You just wake up and you are in this state of anger, fear, anxiety. And so what I want to share with you today and give you permission is that you have the ability. It is your choice that you can forgive. You can forgive the other person. And it doesn't mean that they're off the hook with God, that what they did wasn't wrong, that you're saying what they did was right. None of that. What you're saying is, I forgive because I'm going to release myself. I'm going to release myself from this pattern of anger. I'm going to release myself from this pattern of anxiety. I'm going to release myself from this pattern of constant fear. I forgive. I'm letting it go. I'm giving it to God. God promises that He is the one who will take vengeance. I think oftentimes we struggle with forgiving others because we feel like vengeance is our job. We feel like if we forgive, they're off the hook and there will be no restitution. There will be no rectifying the situation. They got away with it. And that isn't the truth. It is a lie. The devil is the father of lies, and it's a deception, it's a mirage. If you let go and you give it to God and you let him be the one who rectifies the situation, who requires justice, then you are off the hook and you can change. You can become someone who is whole again. You can let go of that poison in your life, of that anger and bitterness and resentment, and that job daily of expecting to be apologized to, or be the one who they come to and say, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that, I was wrong. And it's almost like holding your breath and you're the one turning blue. They aren't even thinking about you. And another way that it has been said is that holding on to bitterness and resentment is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. And so I want to encourage you that the forgiveness path starts with forgiving others and thinking about, who am I so angry with and why? And there's 5 questions that you can answer that we learn in recovery. Celebrate Recovery teaches these. You can write in your journal who did it, what did they do? Just take one thing. You've got to break it down to the one thing, and you may need to have several entries where you're answering these 5 questions, and that's okay. This can be a process. You have time. And so, who did it? What did they do? How did it make you feel at that time? So, if you were a child and somebody embarrassed you, really, really shamed you, maybe they just went on and on and on and tore you down in front of your class or in front of your family, maybe you were bullied, then write it down, how it made you feel at that time, and use emotion words. That's the rule. You have to use emotion words. So you could say, I felt shame, I felt anger, I was sad, I felt frustrated, I felt. So use feelings words, and you can Google a sheet that is feelings words, because oftentimes we shut all our feelings down and we don't even know how to express our feelings. So begin to allow yourself to go back to that moment and feel it and write your feelings down. So what were your feelings at that time is number 3. And then number 4, what are your feelings now? What is the damage? What are the social damages? So do you have social anxiety where it's hard to be in a group because of what happened in that moment? Maybe if you were shamed and bullied and torn down and made fun of in front of your class on the playground. Maybe, what you wore that day was picked apart. It can just, kids can be so cruel, right? People can be cruel. It could be as an adult at work, something happened like that. And so write down what your damage is. If you have social anxiety, if you maybe have to sleep with the light on because you have PTSD, it might be, and you want to use some feelings words in this question as well of, I'm angry. I feel anxiety in crowds. I feel, I avoid crowds. So just whatever comes to mind when you ask your brain a question, it has to answer. And you may come back to your journal later because you thought and realized when you are trying to be in a crowd, maybe just to go to church or just to go to the grocery store or just to go to work, like something else, another realization comes to mind, and you can write it and add it to this 4th question. And then the 5th question is, what is my part? And so it may be, again, you had no part in the original event, especially if it was someone, committed against you in a sexual offense. But what is your part now? It could be you're bitter, you're angry, you're resentful, and or self-harm, like I'm cutting, or I'm overeating, or I'm shopaholic. I'm, trying to feel value in myself by buying what I want whenever I want it, or I'm gambling. I'm trying to go win, either, at a casino or in the lottery, and I'm just out of control. I'm buying excessive amounts, and I'm trying to feel value through winning. And so, for me, even the workaholic tendencies, trying to feel worth by hitting my goal, by having the words of affirmation from others, and not realizing yet. My last episode was how you can give yourself the love you need. And one of those categories of the 5 love languages being words of affirmation. And so learning, hey, I can say, great job, Darlene, great job, and fill in your name. You did so good. And even get specific, like, you nailed it. You made your time, you remembered your talk, whatever it is you're doing. If you're at work and you have a goal and you hit it, and you did well, you improved, even if you didn't get an award or a certificate or a bonus, if you did it, then praise yourself. And praise, you don't have to go out and spend money you don't have. You don't have to go overeat. You don't have to buy a big cake. You don't have to self-abuse. You can simply give yourself the love that you need. And that's so key to overcoming addiction and codependency, is realizing, why do I feel like I need to eat this cake? Why do I feel like I need to go have all these drinks at the bar? Why do I feel like I need to open this screen and look at this, sexually explicit material? Because I want to feel loved. I want to feel valued. I want to feel accepted. And learning how to do that and love yourself is so powerful. And so the next step of that, and maybe the first step, depending on you, is forgiving yourself and being willing to forgive yourself, and expect that feeling of, I feel peace now. And thinking back to that moment where you felt peace before. And I had a friend recently who said, I can't think of one. I can't think of when I've ever really, truly felt peace or felt joy. Even when we were talking about, she has 2 children, and like, did you feel it when your child was born and you were holding them in your arms and you were, chest to chest, and you felt their heartbeat? Did you feel peace? Like, I did it. I delivered this child. I'm holding my baby in my arms. Maybe as a man, if you're listening to this podcast as a guy, what moment of peace? And I would love for you to share. Drop in the comments of this podcast, what moment have you felt peace before? And so think back to that moment. And again, it could just be as simple as when you wake up in the morning and you haven't realized anything yet, that moment between sleep and consciousness, where everything is just plain. It's peace. There's no expectations. There's no regret, simply peace. And you can just breathe in and breathe out, and just enjoy that moment of peace. Breathe in and breathe out. And just do that and give yourself first dibs on your time, on self-love, on self-forgiveness. And I've been practicing self-forgiveness for a while now, of, as a recovering perfectionist and not wanting to make any mistakes. I think I learned that from my birth family where blame, I saw exemplified blaming someone else if a mistake was made because there was no forgiveness. And I think that, possibly one of my parents grew up in a home where there wasn't forgiveness. And so there couldn't be taking responsibility and being the one because there wasn't going to be forgiveness. So then the defense mechanism was, I'm going to blame someone else. Someone else is at fault, or this circumstance is at fault. I'm late because of the traffic. I'm late because the dog ate my shoe and I couldn't find another pair, or always some other thing's fault, not I needed to leave earlier. I was lagging behind. I didn't leave off what I should. I should have left sooner. And definitely being late is still a character defect of mine that I have to keep working on. And it's something I think commonly codependents struggle with. And there's layers to that too. So one thing at a time, right? So forgiving myself when I have made a mistake or when I am late and saying, you know what, I did the best I could today. I do see where I can do better. I acknowledge I did my best in the moment, but that needs to improve, and it will improve. And I believe in myself, and I forgive myself, and I love myself, and expecting other people to love and forgive, not in a setting yourself up for hurt kind of way, but in a self-worth kind of way. Like, I love myself. It's your choice whether you love me or not, but I'm choosing to love me. And so self-love and self-forgiveness go together. And I really wanted to share with you just to take it one day at a time. And also consider that the alternative to not forgiving yourself is shame. And shame leads into needing an escape. And that needing an escape leads to addiction. And so this is important. This is super important to really decide, you know what, I'm just going to decide. I'm going to decide to start choosing peace, to take the time, take 20 minutes a day to play some soft music and be like you're at the beach again, and you're just breathing and you're seeing one white puffy cloud and blue sky, and one white puffy cloud go across and blue sky. And this is a way to help you even recover from ADD and to just slow your nervous system down. But as you learn to choose peace and to let go of whatever it was, and maybe write a letter if the person passed and say, I forgive you. And forgiving others is key to beginning to learn to forgive yourself. Because as you forgive others, then you make space to see yourself instead of constantly focusing on the other person, and see where, oh, wow, I'm really harsh with myself. I'm constantly beating myself up for not being pretty or not being smart or not being on time, and then I'm overdoing, I'm overperforming. I'm always trying to help other people, and I don't take time necessarily to even shower regular or go exercise regular or eat right, take the time to cook myself a healthy meal and eat nutritious food. So see the link and how this is so important, that forgiving yourself is key to self-love. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening to You Are Significant. Please leave us a review. Please leave comments, give us a like, and share this out. We appreciate you here on You Are Significant, and I cannot wait till next time to spend time with you.